In the beginning, appraisals were simple. If you got it right, your family got fed and you had shelter. If you got it wrong, you died. Appraisals can be date back to Egyptian times, but I'm going to start at the workhouse. So in the workhouse, we had workers going into the workhouse, a very autocratic environment where no one had any rights and they were exploited as they went along. But after the workhouses, we started to see the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was something that changed everything and became this catalyst for improvement and productivity. We saw the spinning jenny and we saw steam trains. And we saw that bosses were able to exploit this ever-increasing resource to high levels. But here's a thing which is really, really strange. That even though that was a long, long time ago, and my GIF is not working, oh, it is working, even though it was a very long time ago, a number of our bosses are actually still the same as they were in those days. So when it came to the Second World War, that's when things really started to change. A massive loss of life, loads of technology coming into play, and then people started to realise that you needed both to appraise your strategy and also to appraise your people. And this started this whole catalyst in terms of what was going on with the appraisals. The inside story, the 1940s saw Maslow, his hierarchy of needs. The 1950s saw Hertzberg and his two-factor theory. And people were getting appraised in a really good way. The 1970s, however, saw high inflation rates, and it all started to be all about the number one priority. Those who were the most productive got looked after, and everyone else went by the wayside. The best performers were the number one priority. But then came the millennials, and these millennials, they were curious, they were job hoppers, they were tech savvy, they wanted to have value in what they were doing, and they wanted to look at what the problems were. And they also had lives which were managed by technology. And we started to see a shift in the world of work. And the best businesses were starting to focus on agile methodology in terms of how they appraised their staff. They started to focus on quality, continuous action plans, and how these can be used in order to make a business grow and be more productive. But all around all of this was this idea of feedback. Feedback, feedback, feedback was the holy grail. But so many businesses have failed to understand the importance of feedback. I'm going to take you through some stats. The stats show that 27% of workers say that the feedback they receive helps them work better. When Accenture did a report, they found out that 67% of employees said that if they had real-time feedback with regards to their work, they would work better. One of the key things is that we know in recruitment and in our industry that there's a really high turnover of staff. One of the things that staff are saying when they're leaving our businesses is that they're saying that if my manager had listened to me, I probably would have stayed in my position. So feedback, feedback again. Millennials, they want feedback every week. Here's the thing, so often in the old days when we were little recruiters and we were doing recruitment, we'd be happy with an appraisal at the end of the month or the end of the quarter. They want touch points every week because that's what makes them feel wanted. 67% of employees said they'd work harder if they felt their efforts or their endeavours were better recognised. Recognition is such an easy thing to do, but we still live in a society where we often forget to recognise our employees. And then what happens? We sit with HR and we sit down with HR and they say, actually, our appraisal process isn't fit for purpose. It's not working as we think it should work. So, what do we do? There's an issue. 14% of organisations are happy with their performance appraisal system. 14% are happy with their appraisal system. That leaves a lot of people who think there is room for improvement with appraisal systems and appraisal management systems and how they do that. But the key thing here is that 30% of performance reviews end up decreasing employee performance rather than increasing it. Think of your weekly, monthly, yearly appraisal, decreasing the employee performance. There's a line in The Hobbit where Gandalf goes to Bilbo and he says, I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure, a difficult adventure. And Bilbo turns to Gandalf and says, don't like adventures, they're nasty things and they make you late for lunch. That's like my sort of paraphrase of that. But anyway, one of the things that we think about is that what if we all looked at appraisals as something which was about the holistic person? What if we stopped and looked at each of our employees and thought, how do we look at them as people who are one holistic whole, not just someone who's producing? What if our employees came to work happy and running around like this rather than feeling that work wasn't the best place for them to be. I feel that if we use technology and if we use a different holistic way to appraise our staff, we can revolutionise the way that our industry looks after its people. Thank you.